So recently, I was able to scale one of our NDA clients to 57,000 USD generated from a single webinar through paid ads. And today I'm going to be breaking down exactly how we went about doing this, the full paid ad strategy from A to Z. Now, first up, the most important thing when it comes to ad budgets for a webinar, especially, is setting the ad spend and making sure that if this is a high ticket product that you're selling on the back end of this webinar, so maybe it's a 3K mentorship, maybe it's a 2K mentorship, whatever. In our case, it was a 5K mentorship. You are getting half of that PIF price, so pay in full, so half of 5K, and you're allocating that to the ad spend. Super important. This is like the benchmark for profitability. You need to make sure that you're doing half of the PIF price as the ad spend. If you're doing a mid-ticket offer, it's a little bit different, but we did a high ticket offer in this case. We were pitching a book a call CTA at the end of this webinar presentation, and we did exactly 2.5 thousand in ad spend for this webinar. Now, for the actual timing of setting up paid ads, ideally, you want to be launching these 3 to 4 days before the actual webinar takes place. In our case, we did it 4 days out, and it was really important that we had the same window across any time that we basically run paid ads for a webinar, because making sure that you do it 4 days out instead of starting paid ads like the same time that you start the marketing, so like doing it 10 days out or 7 days out, ultimately takes longer, and you're probably going to spend more of that ad budget and just go over budget because you're spending too much extra money on extra time that you really don't need for this ad set. You realistically only need 3 or 4 days of paid ads, because this amount of time is going to still allow the algorithm time to learn exactly what type of ads work best for cold traffic, especially Meta. And it's going to allow you to do retargeting for some of the people who've viewed your profile recently, and just have a clear set of image ads, which is what we predominantly used, as well as any visual video ads alongside that when producing this for your client. And kind of going in depth here, shorter equals under optimized, longer equals stale leads by show up date. So having a really long list, a long marketing for a webinar for paid ads is just not conducive to getting people to show up and be nurtured. Yes, we still have the same organic nurturing system happening for cold traffic as we do for organic traffic. But with cold traffic, it's different because this is the first time they've ever seen you, realistically, ever. So you want to have a short amount of time from them seeing you to them getting on a live training with you. Now, in terms of the creatives that we had active, we had about 15 to 20 creatives at launch. The reason why we had so many is that the algorithm needs variation to find winners. Pretty simple. We had different hooks for a lot of different segments. And we basically were just monitoring every single day, killing the losers fast, scaling the winners, as well as doing a mix of angles. So different angles for this niche. We can't go too in depth because it was an NDA client. However, we had things like pain point hooks, result proof hooks, story hooks, direct offer hooks, just as some basic examples, not too complicated when it comes to this stuff, but it's important to have a mix and variety of angles. Now, the actual ad structure itself, we had a broad ad set with, no targeting, letting the algorithm find the buyers, and had 50% of the budget for that. And the other 50% of the budget was an interest ad set. So layered interests, basically seeding the algorithm with intent. And again, that was 50% of our ad budget. We wanted to split it 50-50. You can compare and relocate as data comes in. So eventually we actually found that having an interest ad set was making us more money, or in this case, getting more registrants for the webinar. So we allocated more of the budget to interest closer towards the webinar, about 2 days out. Another thing that really helped us get not only more people showing up live to the webinar and staying on the webinar for the entire process, or our retention rate, but also just increasing our cash collected as well, was we had a VIP package that people could purchase on the confirmation page after booking a spot inside the webinar, or claiming their free ticket for registration. They were able to buy a VIP spot for $27, which was essentially access to the replay of the webinar, as well as priority Q&A inside the webinar. So not a lot, but this was actually one of our really sort of dark horses that came in and helped us to maintain a really good retention rate, because a lot of the people who stayed to the end had bought the VIP seats, as well as getting a really high show up rate, because everyone who bought the VIP seats showed up. which we had a 100% shop rate for VIP seat holders, which is kind of nuts, but goes to show, even if it's a small amount, like $27, it's still really important. And people are still going to value that, and they're going to want to show up instead of you having to tell these people if they get it completely for free. I want you to imagine that you paid for this, because it's going to make you, more locked in and more interested in what's happening. So this is the difference of that. When you actually spend money on something, people are going to show up more and they're going to be more invested. So all in all, a bit of a recap here in terms of ad spend. Half of the PIF price is what the profitability benchmark is. For market and launching ads, you want to do that 3 to 4 days before the webinar. Either one of those works. In terms of ship 15 to 20 creatives at launch, so making sure that you have 15 to 20 creatives set up, ready to go 4 days out before the webinar. We did a split ad budget, 50% going into broad ad sets, 50% into an interest ad set. We optimized by having a $27 VIP package that people could actually buy first. And we made sure to hit a 50 conversions a week and then switch to more qualified booked calls. And this is what allowed us to cash collect 57,000 USD from a single webinar. So we had cash collected across the span of a month. However, this all originated from one webinar. It was all from one. Very important. And the last thing I would say as well is that when you're opening your calendar up for a book a call CTA for webinars, make sure it's 48 hours max. So I said across the span of a month there, that was due to some of these people being on payment plans, etc. However, across multiple weeks, we don't really do months for this specific package. We did payment plans across a couple of weeks because his audience organically was very locked in and they were eager to get inside the program. But we made sure that the calendar was set 48 hours after the webinar. Max is how far you could book into it. Because if you go too far with the calendar and you allow people to book, 30 days after the webinar or 15 days after the webinar or whatever, or even 4 days after the webinar, their buying intent and overall need or want to join this program goes very far down, right? It starts slowly decreasing. And then by the time you hop on the call with them, they don't even remember what the webinar was about. They don't remember what the pitch was, what the offer was. They're not in a buying state, and you lose a lot of those sales. So make sure that you add that last part. You only set your calendar at 48 hours after the webinar takes place, and make sure there's only about like a 15-minute buffer time after the webinar ends. Sometimes I even have less than that. I have 0 buffer time because you want these people booking a call as soon as they have the pitch up on the presentation for the webinar. The pitch needs to be fresh in their minds. They need to be in a buying state. It'll make things a lot easier for your closers to close deals. But that's everything. If you are a coach or an influencer who's wanting to make 57,000 from your own webinar, shoot me a DM via the link in the description for my Instagram, or check out the website. You can book a call in there, and I'll do a free audit of your current funnel with your coaching program completely for free. And we can talk about what you need to fix, what we can implement.